The next order of business is, quite predictably, to find dungeon number 8. Have I already found dungeon number 8? And I recorded myself very briefly going in there on a prior video and jumping right back out because I felt intimidated? Could easily be the case, and I'm just not remembering it because I've been too lazy to go back and review every single one of my videos. However, it gives us the opportunity to discuss, and I use the word discuss as a selfish bit of obfuscation there because, at least at the time I'm speaking, you don't get to speak. You just have to comment in the video below. And believe me, I welcome those comments. I like reading them. I like replying to them when they have intelligent things to say. As you just look back on my prior videos, you'll see me actually doing it, proof of the pudding. But instead of discuss, let's use the word monologue. It gives me the chance to monologue about something that this game and one or two other games that have recently come out since, something they've made me think about. Are you familiar with the concept, the theory, of supernormal stimulus? For those of you who don't want to go to Wikipedia right now and read up on it, I will give you an extremely brief version. The theory of supernormal stimulus, and I guess I'm also going to be getting money too, to just, in case there's any other thing that needs buying, but, oh, this new weapon is so good. The theory of supernormal stimulus states that our brains evolved to react to certain stimulus that come in by sight, sound, smell, taste, any of our sensory perceptions. And our brains react, and when I say our brains react, I mean down to our utmost emotional core, the electrochemistry that's going on inside our heads that affects us on the very most deepest spiritual level. That's what reacts. That's why when you or I see an attractive person of our preferred gender, we get sexually aroused. And when we hear somebody talk, the words and the tone of voice that they use can incite emotions in us. We have no choice in the matter. You just have the emotions. You can't help it. It happens automatically. So, the theory of supernormal stimulus says that... Man, I'm being really careless. It's fine. I guess it doesn't matter, but the theory of supernormal stimulus says that we have learned, whether we realized we were learning it or not, we have learned some of the structures in our brains, some of the things that we react to, and we have learned how to exploit them for our own enjoyment. Like, when you take a look at human luxury culture, and specifically as we think about it, I'm going to be talking media culture, their games and movies and comics and anime and all the stuff that we do with our free time here in the first world. Human media culture absolutely is a byproduct of supernormal stimulus. Because, let's just take the most obvious example, music. I heard a theory that said something to the effect of music representing more of the sound that our brains are meant to react to in speech than speech itself can represent. Like, listen to this little chiptune we've got playing right now. This is a relatively primitive example, but this effect was absolutely in effect. Yes, I'm using the two different spellings of the word that sounds like effect, the verb and the noun. This effect was in effect. Ugh. Even back in the 80s and 90s, and we still get new chiptunes coming out today. When you have an instrument that is like a string or a wind or a brass, hold a note. It represents something more like a pure vowel. This is just a theory. I'm not sure if this is absolutely correct, but this is a theory I've read somewhere. Having a pure E or a pure ah or a pure ooh. As you can hear, I mean, just listen to it for a minute. Anytime an instrument holds a note, it's more like a pure vowel. And when we have percussion, or to a lesser extent, say, guitar or piano, that something is like a pure consonant. Or bass, like very large percussion or a bass guitar. That's something like the pure sound of the rumbling inside of somebody's chest when he speaks. I can't reproduce it perfectly, and that's the point, that I can't reproduce it perfectly. music does a better job of exploiting those structures in our brain than our own speech ever could. That is supernormal stimulus, and this is why I think, music has such a shortcut to the emotional systems in our brains. That's why we love music so much. I don't know about you, but one of the primary ways that perhaps the primary way that I consume music is game soundtracks. It seems kind of pathetic and lame and stupid, but such it is. I mean, that's like certain indie soundtracks and lots of Nintendo music. There's one or two YouTube channels that tend to put up lots of extensions of these things that I will listen to just all day, every day, and I love it, and we love it, and it's great. So, that's, in a nutshell, the theory of supernormal stimulus. I'm going to just remind myself to get my bearings what's in here. Yeah, fine. Nothing super exciting. So, the theory of supernormal stimulus hardly only applies to music. Basically, anything that our brains evolved to react to, but now that we take advantage of as a part of our, modern consumerist media culture, you could almost 100% of the time link all of that stuff back to supernormal stimulus. When you start looking for the theory, it's shocking how many places it pops up. And I realize we're at the risk of succumbing to confirmation bias there, but there's some evidence. Like, what's the next most obvious example after music for supernormal stimulus? Sex. Oh yeah. Like, if you look at basically any piece of Japanese media culture, any piece of Japanese media at all, with the 2D little teenage girls with the nice uppity boobs and the supernaturally skinny waists and the flared hips and the large eyes and the kya no baka no senpai, and just acting more femmy and girly than real life women ever have. Pornography and all of the, softer derivatives of it are indeed a form of supernormal stimulus. I mean, where else has come this, social justice warrior outcry of how our media culture has put in unrealistic expectations of what women are supposed to look like, and so we're not as attracted to real women as we should be anymore. That's another example of supernormal stimulus. So, what's this long roundabout rant getting to? I've been thinking about supernormal stimulus as it applies to gaming. And yes, we already talked about the music portion of it by touching on pornography and sexed up Japanese media culture. We've kind of touched on the visual portion of it. I want to elaborate on something on the visual portion of it in another sense. But first, let's talk about the interactivity. If it's true that so much of our media is derived from us unwittingly, we don't, at least until recently, we haven't realized that we're doing it, but unwittingly taking advantage of the structures in our own brains for pleasure, then how does the interactivity, the narrative of what you do that I've talked so much about, how would that possibly apply to supernormal stimulus? And it only takes like a brief moment's reflection to come to a very obvious answer. We humans evolved at first as a hunter-gatherer species, and then we evolved as an agricultural species. And it's not a great stretch of the imagination to think that the circuitry for both is still left over in our heads. So, the hunter-gatherer loves going out on the adventure. It loves going out on the quest to go out to find the loot, the booty, and sure, the loot would often have taken form in relatively mundane things like food or cloth or the materials necessary to make tools or simple building materials or weaponry or what have you. But that's the mundane stuff that happened in real life. But now that we've got those structures evolved into our brains to reward us for coming across those things as a hunter-gatherer society, now we can go on the hero's quest. We can go on the epic poem of Gilgamesh, and we can do what this game is exactly. This game is a perfect example of the hero's quest. I'm a little dude with a sword who runs around killing things and finding things, and I doubt the people in Japan who coded this game up consciously realized that they were just trying to make something that would seem fun at the time. But why did it seem fun? It seemed fun because it hyperactivates these structures that evolved into our brains from being a successful hunter-gatherer society. And marshaling, like caring for and marshaling resources, which is applicable in just about any game, and especially so in certain breeds of farming games. I suspect that, perhaps to a lesser degree, because that was a relatively recent development versus the hunter-gatherer thing, but still to a degree, the agricultural portion of it seems to have left some circuitry over in our brains, because look at the overwhelming popularity of stuff like Farmville and Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing, and hybrid examples like Rune Factory, less popular, but actually, if you've not played like Rune Factory 4 for the 3DS, I might suggest giving it a shot. It's not a bad game. But yeah, so the interactivity of farming and the interactivity of the hero's quest, most of which, and those two elements tend to appear in most games in varying amounts. It's not an all or nothing thing. I mean, some games are most certainly more one than the other, but still. I am no closer now to finding Dungeon 8 than I was 10 minutes ago when I started this nonsense. But yeah, so, and there's almost certainly other nuances to the interactivity that engages the parts of our brains, in addition to just the hunter-gatherer hero's quest and the Farmville / agricultural piece to it. But that's a really good starting point to give us a clue as to why we care about this shit. Why I'm sitting in a room right now pressing buttons to make pixels on a screen change. I mean, why should I care about that? Why would I be emotionally invested? And the obvious answer, when you think about it, it becomes obvious, is I'm exploiting the structures of my own brain that were evolved into it by my successful ancestors. That's pretty wiggy when you think about it. So that's a very tertiary view, a very surface level view of the interactivity piece of supernormal stimulus. But let's talk briefly about one other piece of the visual part of the stimulus. People who watch my LPs, at least recently, actually, no, not just recently, for as long as I've been doing LPs, they tend to disproportionately, a lot of them, be into Nintendo-y things and retro-y things, which is good. I'm glad I found some other people who like that, because it's too far and few between in the world today. But so we like a lot of Nintendo things, we like a lot of retro things. Was there a fairy in this pond? Yeah, there was. Okay, but so let's set The Legend of Zelda aside. I mean, there's some examples of unnecessary cuteness in any Nintendo franchise. You can find it, say, like, do you remember in Link to the Past, when I was doing my LP of it recently and I died repeatedly? Link would do this little thing where he spins around on his feet and go wee wee womp and fall flat on his face. And just, a cute little bit of Nintendo sprite work. Nothing too super impactful, but very emblematic of Nintendo's visual design as a whole. They tend to be very cutesy, very Japanese style cutesy, which is fine. I really like that style, so it's totally cool. But let's take another series, not Legend of Zelda, another very, very popular Nintendo-branded franchise, and see what it has to say about cuteness. And yes, you know what I'm thinking about. Kirby! That's actually not the one I was thinking about, even though it too is a very good example, but not for the reasons I'm about to say. Not Kirby, Mario! Okay, that's another good example, but again, not the one I was thinking of. Okay, now you really know the one that I'm thinking of. I'm trying to, pull another Nintendo franchise out of my butt, and it's just not happening. Okay, we'll just cut to the chase. Pokemon! Yeah, that's the one I was actually thinking about. Now, I know Pikachu, that electric rodent from Kanto Gen 1, I know Pikachu is supposed to be the official franchise mascot, and that's fine. But there is a subset of the Pokemon. I remember this gets me to a different dungeon just by going up and up and up over again. There is a different subset of Pokemon that has had several different ones released over the generations. And what we're up to, 9 of them now? And just the fact that I've said that means you probably know which Pokemon I'm talking about. The Eevees! Yes, the Eeveelutions. The first 4, if you count Eevee itself, introduced in Gen 1, and then a few since then, including my all-time favorite Pokemon, Sylveon! Yes, I cannot express how much I love Sylveon. It is wonderful and adorable. I have plushes. I want more plushes. Yes, I am a grown man who collects plush toys. Fuck you, don't judge me. But, so, why call that out? I mean, how does the Eevees, the Eeveelutions, play into this thing that I'm talking about, supernormal stimulus? Well, think about it. Our ancestors gained evolutionary advantages from things at the hunter-gatherer stage. We almost certainly also gathered evolutionary advantages from things at the agricultural stage. I've already been in here. We domesticated dogs, canids, by basically breeding them out of the lineage of brown and gray wild wolves when we were in our hunter-gatherer phase. Dogs remained useful in our agricultural phase for companionship, for eating scraps of leftover food, kind of acting as a sanitation service, and for detecting threats, predators, like getting other canids or wildcats away from our crops, and for, a guarding service, basically. So dogs were still very useful for the agricultural stage, but the other pet that we ended up domesticating from our agricultural stage quite significantly, I'm not talking about horses, even though horses are a very good example of this too, cats, felines. Oh, actually needed to come here, because I gotta get a refill. I won't use this unless I have to, but felines. Now, there was an article I read some time ago. This was Dungeon 9, wasn't it? Yeah, not doing this yet. Gotta find Dungeon 8. Yeah, so there was an article I read some time ago that said it had found, some scientists had found some archaeological evidence that said that in our agricultural phase, we started domesticating cats because they were very useful for finding and destroying the rodents that would get into our grain stores and our other food stores. They were very good for that. And so a symbiosis, much like the ones that we used to breed dogs out of the wolves that they came from, a symbiosis was born. And it's not much of a stretch to think that, as it was an evolutionary advantage, there's got to be something to this other than just pointing to where a dungeon was. Maybe not, I don't know. In the same way there was an evolutionary advantage for the cats to become domesticated, because that gives them free food and shelter, albeit they can no longer choose their mates, but still, it's very much a strong evolutionary advantage to become domesticated. Would it not have also been a evolutionary advantage for humans to domesticate the cats? Because it keeps the damn rats out of our grain silos, and it keeps our food stores in better shape, and probably better sanitation, because even if the cat doesn't outright kill the rodent, it would chase the rodents away, which would act as better sanitation for us, because they're harbingers of disease. They're, especially when we didn't understand bacteria or viri or other problems. So, yeah, domesticating cats absolutely would have been a strong evolutionary advantage for the humans who were the domesticators. It was a symbiosis. It wasn't just a one-way street. So, how does this apply to Pokemon? How does this apply to the evolutions? The evolutions? It seems obvious to me that the evolutions are, even though perhaps the people who worked for Game Freak / the Pokemon Company who designed them in Japan don't realize this, but the evolutions are pretty much certainly a form of supernatural stimulus. Because if you look at an Eevee, or a Vaporeon, or a Sylveon, or a Leafeon, or an Espeon, or an Umbreon, what do you see? What goes into the designs of these creatures? They have features of canids, rabbits, vulpes, and felines. So cats, rabbits, dogs, and foxes. And it's like, you've got the adorable aspects of all of them. I forget which dungeon this was. No, never coming here again. You've got the most adorable aspects of all of them, all joined together as if to create this one hyper souped up, incredibly hyper adorable, more adorable than anything in real life creature that it seems to me would very likely be the supernatural stimulus version of our pet dogs and cats. Eevees, even though they don't actually exist, that's the freaky thing. They're not real, but just in concept, the very imaginative idea of them is so much more stimulating. The same structures that an adorable cat or an adorable little puppy stimulates in your brain, those same structures probably, I'm guessing, I'm suspecting, are activated by looking at an evolution, and you're like, oh my god, it's so fucking cute, I just want to pick it up and pet it. And this is why I have so many damn evolution plushes, and it's, you know, don't judge me, I said this before, don't judge me, you're making me feel bad. Not really, I don't give a shit, but yeah, so, and I'm sure the same applies to a lot of other quadrupedal Pokemon, and indeed just fictional creatures in general. The very idea of them, even though they do not physically exist, is a supernatural stimulus. It's our power of imagination acting upon the structures of our brains. It's amazing shizbiz. There's a reason we love evolution so much. It's because they look more like cats and dogs than cats and dogs do. It's pretty heady stuff. Alright, so I'm done rambling. It's been like 20 minutes into this video and I've not found Dungeon 8 yet. It's okay. I got my potions, been getting money, been doing the thing, winning the points. And now I should really like actually buckle down and go out and find Dungeon 8 wherever the hell that is. Off on the hero's quest I go. And I will have fun as I do it because I'm going to be killing things and gaining money in the process. Yay. Oh, that's new. Ah, very sick of you assholes. I thought the tree would be brown, but I think I've been looking for this thing. I've been trying to burn a lot of trees. Not much has happened, but I think there was a hint specifically given for this. Aha! Level 8. Okay, so in full open, honest disclosure, I did not find that entirely on my own. I was spending a long time wandering around looking for stuff, and somebody said to me, UD, remember you were given a hint before that said, the tree at the end and the thing and the stuff and the place and this doobity-bity, and I forget the content of the hint, but it did talk about the tree at the dead end. And I thought, well, I've got this candle, which doesn't really do the same thing a candle does. It just throws a ball of fire in front of me. Maybe I'm meant to burn it down, or bomb it down, or do something. Oh, come on, dude. How many times have I killed you and your ilk? I gotta remember, I'm still in a dungeon. The place could probably still kill me if I'm careless. Yeah, that was extremely hard. I feel violated, personally, on the inside. I will never be able to feel normally again. They have destroyed me in... light balls, mummies, and darknets. Okay. I like how these dungeons are all about the combat challenges. I wouldn't want every game ever to be like that, by any means, but just because so many games these days just exist solely on the strength of their puzzles, it's a refreshing change. It wouldn't be for very long. I want to be strict about that. That not every game should do that. I'm glad that, you know, after this, games did start incorporating puzzles and other content into their games, but still, it's a refreshing change versus modern stuff. A book? Is that what that's supposed to be, a book? I mean, it could be a book, it could be a mailbox sitting on its back. Let's see. It's not usable, it's just a buff. So what does that do? I mean, once again, if this were the 80s, I would have an instruction booklet, probably. Unless this were like a rented or used copy and the booklet were missing or damaged or just... Yeah, so I might not have the information of what this book is supposed to do. But... So should I be nice to myself and should I just flip and Google what that book does? Or should I play for a bit and see if I can figure it out based on context? Let's play for a bit and see if I can figure it out based on context. Did I say contexts? Context? Like multiple contexts? No, it's context. You stupid lisping fool. UD. Why must a man go for keys when it's so obvious that he gets keys in much more emotionally satisfying ways? That's a dirty, filthy lie. It's more emotionally satisfying to get them the proper way, to find them in dungeons, to kill a key slime and to pick up the key that it dropped. There's gotta be more to this room than just a key. Maybe, I don't know. I have no clue, actually. This is just total wild guessing here. Stupid light balls. Be gone from my presence, you Holocaust survivors. Nope. Waste of bombs is the only thing I've ever lived for. Let's keep a full ranged combat array. I cut the video there because I had to take a drink of water. Another one of you? WTF, what's up with this? Wait. Does damage against you create a fireball that would hurt me if I hit you with my sword? It probably... No, it doesn't. It's just the magic rod. But the magic rod still hurts you, so WTF. Whoa, what? What? Why is the magic rod hitting fire? That's what's going on? I'm very confused. Just a few gems? Really? Is it because I'm like in a desert room with sand on the floor? Okay. I won't waste bombs until I have to. Let's try it as soon as I get out of this room. I didn't upgrade this thing, to the best of my knowledge. What? Yeah, why is it doing that? What did I do to my wand to make it now project fireballs? Okay, well, I don't have the luxury of focusing on it. I don't think it's a good weapon for dealing with the darkness anyway. For once, frame drops are actually much to my benefit, because it gives me more reaction time, which would be a key advantage against these assholes. But it comes at the expense of having more objects on screen, which means fireballs, which means I have less reactable opportunities. You fuck-damn darknuts. You and the Wizrobes and the likes, you can all just go to hell in the bathroom of a Taco Bell. Going to hell is the new euphemism for engaging in glory hole sex. Yes, that's a very filthy thing. I said it. I don't feel good about the fact that I said it. I don't know if I should be using my potion this early on, but this looks like a really bucknuttingly hard room, so maybe I'll just indulge, and if I really, really need to, I'll go back out and get a potion refresh. Bachoom. Yes, you're watching UD consume a health refill in real time and in fake time. It's real-time health consumption here with Usually Dead. Ugh. Oh, you know, that was another topic I was thinking about starting a video with at some point, but I don't know if it's really worth it. How should I say this? Let's not go key door yet. So, is it unfair and hypocritical? Oh, really? So I can light up rooms with my magic rod now. Okay. Is it unfair and hypocritical of me to say that even though I really enjoy doing LPs, there's not many personalities of whose LPs I like to watch? I don't really enjoy watching very many LPs. That's usually not the case, I found. Of the people who watch me, you tend to watch a lot more people than just me, and that's fine, by all means. I'm not that prolific. I don't put out that much. Just, you know, due to real-life time constraints and the fact that I'm doing this as a hobby, not a job, which is fine. It's totally fine. But when I do try to go look at the work of other LPers, stuff gets really stupid and really annoying really fast. And I know I'm sounding like a judgmental asshole when I say that, but and not even just LPers in general, but basically any private YouTube personality. They seem to almost always start up their videos with, "Hey guys, it's hey, how's it going, guys?" Like have some kind of greeting or introduction, or even worse, an outro. Like they have some tagline they put on the end of their videos, and it just strikes me as useless frippery. TBH, PDQ. It's a waste of my time. I know who you are. I know what the general content of the video is going to be if you titled it accurately. So, you know, wasting time with an intro, that's why I generally don't do that. Like when you'll notice with my videos, I basically start up going like, "Oh, and here's the thing we're talking about," and just jump right into the subject matter. I much prefer that, because you guys know the score, you know what we're here for. You don't need an introduction. You don't need openers. Seems like a waste of your time, and it's really too annoying to say. Spectacle Rock is an entrance to death. Oh! Okay, I don't know what that means. But I do hear a boss nearby. And I have a dungeon treasure, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if I just engaged the boss right now, even if I don't hit every single room in this dungeon. Because as we've seen, the organic nature of these dungeons means that there's lots of wasted rooms. Although, saying what I've said about the other YouTubers opening their videos in an annoying way, I shouldn't throw stones in a glass house too much, because I'm absolutely guilty of being hideously, horribly annoying in other ways, I realize. Did you guys know that words in gaming is bad? It's actually directly against the will of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Ithulu Ishtar Ohama Akbar Mohammed Blah? Yes. Words in video games are bad, and you should feel bad if you read or write words in video games. Instead, I'll use 100,000 words to tell you how much I hate words. Totally not making myself an ironic hypocrite in the process. Yeah, I'm not perfect. I gotta work on that. Damn dark nuts. Wait, do I even need to be fighting you guys? I don't think I do. Have I been in the room below here? Yes, I have. So let's go up. Oh, no. Oh, more of this. Okay, well. Oh, so much for my other potion. Although if the bosses are any indication, I probably won't have to use one there, but we'll see. Alright, I'll shut up and focus on these assholes. Damn it, these guys are hard. Even with all my buffed gear, they still wreck my shit. It's a little bit too late. Oh well. Yeah, it doesn't hurt you at all. At least now it's only 2 hits per Darknet instead of like the 70 million it was taking with my original sword. Jesus Christ, with tacos and spice, that was hard. Can I just avoid fighting you guys? I'd really rather not waste the resource if I could help it. Damn light balls, you're gonna get me killed. Fuck you! Christ. Okay, this has got to be a boss approach. If it's not, I will renounce my worldly ways and go raise alfalfa for a living. But it'll be special, like, super vegan alfalfa. Can the candle hurt you guys too? Whoa, there's a lot of you dudes. I guess not. So bombs, I guess? Oh, wait. Somebody told me that the flute would kill them immediately. This is not the flute. This is the flute. What? People told me the flute would kill them immediately. No! Why is the internet lying to me? People who are completely not accountable for the information they give. Besides, what are these things called? Pole's voice, I think? Okay, well, I have keys. Oh, wait, but I still have to kill all you dudes in order to open the door, don't I? Oh, damn. What? And bombs aren't hurting you either. What the hell? What can I even do? The stuff I have is not hurting you. None of the stuff I have is hurting you. Oh, God, what a waste. Enough of this nonsense. I'd rather use a key. Okay, compass. So there is something I didn't try on the Pulse Voice before, Let me light things up first off. I didn't try my bow and arrow, which I think actually had... Yep, it worked in the past, and I just totally... In the panic of the moment, I didn't use it when I should have, and it killed me. And it cost me an attempt, and I had to go out and buy another potion, and fun times. HR puffin' stuff. There's no pots, so this is the form that my professional obligation takes place in this video. Hey, speaking of professional obligation, didn't we think that La Mulana 2 would be out by now? I did. But, as is common with Kickstarter projects, it got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and that's fine. I'm honestly not in a rush for it to come out. I'd prefer them to release the product well than to release the product quickly. I don't want to make you watch me go through this again. So, however, as I'm sure you guys will understand, if I'm LPing anything at the time that La Mulana 2 comes out, that project takes priority. All else will get dropped. I will also be extremely slow. Bear in mind, when I did La Mulana, the remake, I had 2 weeks off between the end of one job and the beginning of another job, so I could afford to just sit there and hammer for like 8 to 10 hours a day on a game. And I won't have that luxury when it comes to the new one, so it's gonna take months. It's gonna take months of months. Some of my videos may be unfortunately substanceless, but, you know, where I'm not making a whole hell of a lot of progress. But that's the nature of things, and I'll do my best to remain spoiler-free. But the good news about La Mulana, said UD while he repeats a challenge on camera that you've already seen before, is that I found it was a very difficult game to spoil, honestly. Because it's even difficult to describe. Anybody who's played the game will know what I'm talking about, but even like if you go on the wiki and get the solutions to a lot of puzzles, the wiki wasn't that good. It didn't really spell things out for you, and you still had to figure out a lot of shit for yourself. And the wiki could only barely, if at all, help you with some of the more difficult of the platforming and combat challenges. So it's not an easy game to spoil, but still, I will do my damnedest to remain spoiler-free during the long time it takes me to LP it. God damn it. I know I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I think I know what I'm getting myself into, but knowing Naramura and his cadre, those guys are gonna have, like, all new levels of fucked up nonsense that I will not have any means by which to anticipate. I don't have that high of an opinion of myself. Alright, let's see if I can get back to where I was with those Poles' voices. That didn't take long at all. Here they are. So, bow and arrow all day long. Bow and arrow because it's wrong. I'm overpowered now. Look at all the money I have to just throw at you in the form of bow and arrowedness. See, I'll pick up some arrows there in the form of picking up gems. Pick up a heart. Pick up a thing. The stopwatch, which also makes me invincible and stops all my enemies. There. Wasn't that grand? The entirety of all life and time and existence has come to a blissful end. But, because keys do actually cost money on the overworld, I would be remiss not to just walk the few feet necessary to pick up one for relatively free. The boss is going to be right over here, isn't it? It's going to be a very short dungeon. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, the door's already open. Why should I even look at these darknets? That'd be a waste of time and stress. No, I flee you heavy-handedly. 10th enemy has the bomb. 10th enemy has the bomb. At least you didn't tell me that somebody set us up, though. Aha! 10th enemy has the bomb. That's gotta be a hint for some other part of the game, because, look, here we are. Also, this game is recycling bosses. I think there's stuff that, I mean, a lot. Not just mid-bosses, but, like, a lot. And I think there's stuff that makes each boss harder, each time they iterate on it. But I'm betting this is, once again, resource constriction. Just the game's engine couldn't do that much due to limitation. Look, I could just tank through this bullshit. You guys are not scaring me. See? Compared to the Darknuts and the Wizrobes, these bosses aren't really that bad. Aha! This completes the Triforce, doesn't it? I have the map instead of the Triforce. The 10th enemy has the bomb. So I got the dungeon treasure. I didn't really need the map. I got the compass. I killed the boss. Yeah, I don't know if there's really anything else of substance in that dungeon that really matters that much. So that's it. Triforce is complete now, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Look at that. So, if we were to keep Hyrule lore consistent, now that I have this, I should be able to make a wish and just change the whole world. I'm God now, basically. Unless it only grants you one wish. That part I'm not clear on. Because if you look at what it did for Ganondorf in... Why am I blanking on the name of this uber-popular game? Link to the Past, god damn it. Long-term memory recall. I swear, I gotta defragment my brain. It's taking longer and longer for files to get pulled up upon random calls. But, yeah, so according to what Ganondorf did, he wanted to rule the world, and so that just made everything corrupted and horrible and terrible, and that seems to me like a lot of really specific individual wishes all just taking place all at once. Not just one big thing. Saying, I want to rule the world. Okay, well, boom, the whole universe is corrupt now. Good job, dude. I'm sure you're not happy sitting up there in your corrupted tower of evil and darkness. Or are you? Are you like Sauron? Or you have few servants but many slaves of fear? I don't know, I'm talking gibberish now. Okay, next video will be exactly what it seems like. I will go to Dungeon 9, and we will have a fine time whining and dining. Just saying nonsense now. I guess that means it's time to end the video.